Hi, I'm going to listen to Ravi Zakarias. He's the preacher of the late Nabil Qureshi, former. He was a psilocyber crusader, which I really loved very much. It was great, but he died of cancer. But hey, through Nabil, I got to become familiar with the Ravi Zakarias, and he's a great preacher. But I'll be listening to Ravi Zakarias and playing this music, strange music in the background, and playing the computer. I just beat the computer. I was white. Now I'm going to be black playing the computer. Okay, here I am. I just won. Now I'll play the computer again. This time I'll be black. Now I'll play Ravi.
Forming that God gives
God's
to us
plan for your life.
Purpose. Just think about it for a moment.
This is called God's plan for your life.
Has a single little eye that is much more a mechanism than it is even properly called an eye. One cell. There are 107 million cells in the human eye.
I'm black. The computer is white.
Over 9 months, it comes to about 1 trillion cells. One single strand of the human DNA. If you were to put it into print and you put 500 words per page and 600 pages per volume, it would take 1,000 volumes to put your DNA in there. 600,000 pages. He made you so beautifully unique that he made you for a purpose. He brought you from non-being into being. You are not the random collocation of atoms or accidentally on this blip of time. You were designed specifically for a purpose by the living God who brought you into being for a purpose. And if there's something that I think you ought to do for yourself this year, pause and ask God, what is it he's made you for? Wasn't it Mark Twain who said 2 of the greatest days in your life? Number 1, the day you were born, and number 2, the day you find out why. Why were you born? When he's put his signature on your soul. When I was a young lad, family of 5 kids, my dad at that time pretty hard on me, pretty tough on me, and he had reason to. I wasn't going anywhere. In fact, my mother used to talk in a Tamil phrase. I won't give you that language literally. If anybody speaks Tamil, it says, Dandasotha Rama Gundu Pota Vada. It literally means this wandering Rama goes all over the world, but at the sound of food being put on the table, he'd show up, That was me. Dandasotha Rama Gundu Pota Vada. You put the food on the table and he shows up. And my dad one day looked at me. He wasn't being funny. He looked at me and he said, you're going to bring the greatest shame to this family ever. You're heading nowhere. And in a shame-oriented culture, I knew that was my death knell. And then I'll never forget the first honorary doctorate that was given to me sometime, I don't know when it was, late 70s or early 80s, at Houghton College in New York. My mother had passed away by then. She died in her 50s. My dad came for that and he was sitting on my left. And he'd gone and bought my hood, which they were going to drape on me. And I still remember him sitting there with his head thrown back, saying, is this for real? Is this really happening? And it was not at all surprising, literally a day before he died, but he didn't know he was dying then. He opted for open heart. And I lived in Niagara Falls, New York. He lived in Toronto. All of my brothers and sisters still live in Toronto. The closest was my older brother, 10 minutes away from him. He phoned me in Niagara. He said, son, I want you to take me to the hospital. I'm not feeling well. I said, Dad, Ajit is near. He said, I want you to come. So I got into my car, drove the 75 miles, headed to Toronto, picked him up. I didn't realize why. All the way to the hospital, he talked to me about the premonition that he didn't think he was going to come out of this. But there's one score he needed to settle before he passed away. He said, I need to ask your forgiveness for all that I thought of you and mentioned to you. See, we as earthly parents make a lot of mistakes. We all do it. Our Heavenly Father doesn't make those mistakes. His signature is on your soul. He's called you, fashioned you, brought you from non-being into being. About 2 years ago, the man who led me to the Lord, who brought the Bible into my room, some of you here know him, friend David. I spoke to him, he was in Los Angeles, and he was literally a few days away from breathing his last, and he phones me, and with a broken voice on the phone, he tells me, Ravi, he said, sometimes I think I came into this world just to bring that Bible to you. I said, Fred, you did a lot more than that. But you see, the purpose that God will use you for, you have no idea how he can use you as salt and light in this world. Whether you realize it or not, you're an influencer. You influence people, and he brought you from non-being into being. Lewis Thomas in his Medusa and the Snail talking about the marvel of life, he makes this incredible statement. The mere existence of this cell should be one of the greatest astonishments on the face of the earth. People ought to be walking around all day, all through their waking hours, calling to each other in endless wonderment, talking of nothing except that cell. If anyone does succeed in explaining it within my lifetime, I will charter a skywriting airplane, maybe a whole fleet of them, and send them aloft to write one great exclamation point after another around the whole sky until all of my money runs out. This exclamation mark, this thing we call life, spoken into existence by God. You were brought into being from not being on being. There was a day where you were not, and all of a sudden you were. Find out the purpose for which he created you. That change from non-existence to existence is wrapped up in your individual entity. You are not a quantity. You are an entity. God has a specific purpose for you to fulfill. When you find that out, your last breath will be one of delight in saying, I'm waiting for the divine accolade. Well done. Well done. That's the first change. But in the midst of that change, there may be numerous disappointments, the brokenness, the struggles. When I broke my back in 1985, I didn't realize what changes it was going to bring upon me. I was athletic, I was a sportsman, I loved the sports field, I loved tennis, I loved cricket. All of that had to be bid goodbye to the day when I herniated 2 or 3 discs of mine and now have those titanium rods at the back. The writer has put it well, our life contains 1,000 springs and dies if one be gone. Strange that a harp of 1,000 strings can stay in tune so long. Our life contains 1,000 springs and dies if one be gone. Strange that a harp of 1,000 strings can stay in tune so long. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. There's a wonderfulness to it. There's a fearsomeness to it. That's the first change that I wanted to address. The second is the change of transformation. First is your formation, then is your transformation. That God takes you from mere existence to meaningful existence. He brings you into a new set of hungers, a new set of delights, a new set of wants, and new paradigms by which you measure your life. This is so unique in the Christian life. It almost can take place in a moment, but you know it is spread across time. You ask anybody else of any other worldview, I don't care what worldview it is, what religious worldview it is only this Judeo-Christian worldview that talks about the new birth and the new life. They make fun of it in terms of being born again, but it is not only the greatest mystery, it is the greatest astonishment when you realize you are not exactly who you used to be. The new desires, the new changes, the new longings, the new habits that he puts into your heart. You know, the one that captured this so well, I think one of the greatest books ever written, was written by a tinker by the name of John Bunyan, and it is called A Pilgrim's Progress, translated into more languages than any other book outside of the scriptures. And you, if you've not read Pilgrim's Progress, you've picked your own pockets. get a hold of it. Well, I remember going through his home in the United Kingdom. My wife was with me, and there was a lady at the desk, and there were people from Japan and Korea and all over the world visiting. And I said to the lady, isn't it amazing? This little book.
It's over.
Think of the millions of testaments. You know what she said to me? I'm not making this up. I have a witness and my wife standing next to me. She said, I haven't read it. She was the receptionist. I said, you haven't read it? She said, well, I'm not into allegories. I said, get the children's version, please. Even the children's version is so remarkable, so beautiful. If you haven't read it to your kids, start reading it to them. It tells the whole gospel. And the climactic moment comes
its
when
time.
Pilgrim has got this burden on the back, and he's
what
coming
happened
out to meet coming up to the
what's
hill,
going
and he
through?
meets three angels. The
A
first
stupid
the
ad is
angel
being
of
shown right
dawn.
now.
And when the
I'll go to-
angel of
I'll go to
dawn
Ravi then.
meets Pilgrim coming, he just says to them, you know, that thy sins be forgiven thee. And the whole back comes rolling down the hill. And it says how the tears were just pouring down his face. I really believe Bunyan had read the story with the woman of alabaster ointment to find the terminology for this. Because the tears flowing, just
shoot,
like the
it kicked me
woman,
off.
peace be unto you,
happens over
just
at
like
Play
the
It?
Lord said to her, and he was just not willing to leave that moment. The angel of dawn. And then you get the angel of daybreak. The angel of daybreak takes away the old garments and puts on the new ones and puts the mark on the forehead. And then there's the angel of dusk, which gives a scroll to give you a map for the journey. What would you want? Thy sins be forgiven thee, the new garments that you now wear, and the map to lead you on and guide you into the future.
Shoot.
The angel of dawn, the angel of daybreak.
Oh no! I lost my game. I mean I didn't lose it. I can't find it. What the heck?
An ordinary tinker seems
Oh no!
the gospel, and he takes you through all of Vanity Fair and all of that stuff, and brings you right to that mountain where at the sight of the cross.
I'm gonna play the computer, see where I am here. Okay, I guess I have to start over again. Okay, bye.